your money, it will control your life. That's the simple truth nobody teaches us growing up. Most people wake up every day worrying about bills, stressing about their job, and feeling like there's never enough money or time. They work hard, but their money doesn't work for them. This audiobook, 7 Ways to Make Money Work for You, The Money Game of the 1%, was made for people who are ready to change that. Not by luck, not by guessing, but by learning how the top 1% think, act, and use money to build real freedom. You don't need to be a genius. You don't need to come from money. You just need a better mindset and a few habits that actually work in the real world. If you're tired of just surviving and ready to take back control, you're in the right place. This is where the shift begins, one chapter at a time. Chapter 1. Reprogram your mind to see money as energy. You know, most people are trying to make money every single day. But very few ever stop to understand what money really is. They think money is just paper, just coins, just numbers on a screen. But the truth is, money is energy. It moves, it flows, it responds to how we think, how we act, and how we see ourselves. Once you understand that, you start to play a different game, the money game of the 1%. The difference between those who struggle financially and those who thrive isn't how much they make. It's how they think about what they make. The 1% don't chase money. They attract it. They create it. They understand that money responds to clarity, purpose, and belief. Most people wake up with thoughts of survival. They think, how can I pay my bills? How can I make it through this month? That energy creates more survival. But when your mind shifts from survival to creation, your energy shifts too. You stop waiting for money to show up, and you begin to design the way it enters your life. Money is energy, and energy follows attention. Where your focus goes, your money grows. If your attention is on lack, you'll find more lack. If your attention is on growth, you'll start seeing opportunities everywhere. It's not magic, it's awareness. When your mind is stuck on fear, you won't even notice the doors opening in front of you. But when your thoughts are filled with possibility, you start walking through those doors before they even close. Reprogramming your mind to see money as energy begins with one simple truth. Your thoughts about money shape your reality with it. If you believe that money is hard to get, the belief will become your experience. If you believe that money comes to people who work endlessly, you'll exhaust yourself trying to prove it. But if you begin to see money as something that flows naturally to people who create value, who solve problems, and who manage their emotions, your life starts to transform. Money doesn't respond to desperation, it responds to direction. When you chase it with fear, it runs. When you align with purpose, it follows. Every dollar you earn should be a reflection of the energy you bring into the world. When you give your best effort, when you serve others, when you stay disciplined, you begin to magnetize abundance. That's what the 1% have mastered. Not luck, not secrets, not shortcuts, but alignment. The first step to reprogramming your mind is awareness. Start paying attention to what you say about money every day. Do you talk about it with worry or with confidence? Do you see it as a friend or an enemy? Most people have been programmed since childhood to fear money. They heard things like, money doesn't grow on trees, rich people are greedy, or we can't afford that. Those words planted seeds of limitation. But you can plant new ones. You can begin to say, I am learning to handle money wisely. I am worthy of financial abundance. I am creating value that brings wealth into my life. Every belief you hold about money creates your financial reality. If you see it as limited, you'll always feel like you're running out. If you see it as endless energy, you'll find ways to keep it moving and growing. That's why the wealthy keep their money in motion through investments, business, creation, and contribution. They don't let it sit still, because energy that sits still becomes stagnant. The same happens in your mind. When your thoughts are stuck, your results are too. Reprogramming the mind means replacing old patterns with new focus. Instead of thinking, I can't afford that, start thinking, how can I create that? Those 5 extra words, how can I create that, shift your brain from limitation to action. Suddenly your mind starts finding ideas, connections, and paths that were always there but hidden behind fear. That's the energy shift. You go from saying, I can't, to I will figure it out. That's where the money begins to work for you instead of you working for it. The truth is, most people are emotionally controlled by money. They get happy when they have it and sad when they don't. But the 1% have learned emotional control. They don't let money dictate their state. They use their state to attract and manage money. When you stay calm, grateful, and disciplined, even in tough times, you keep your energy clear. And when your energy is clear, decisions become easier, actions become stronger, and opportunities become visible. Money doesn't change who you are, it reveals who you are. If you are disciplined, it will expand your discipline. If you are careless, it will expose that carelessness. So when you reprogram your mind, you're not just improving your finances, you're improving yourself. You're building a stronger relationship with discipline, gratitude, and purpose. Because money is not the goal, it's a tool, and only people who understand the tool can build something lasting with it. Start small. Practice gratitude for every dollar you already have. When you appreciate what you have, you increase your capacity to receive more. People who constantly complain about money close their energy channels, but those who appreciate even a little open doors for more. The moment you start saying, I am thankful for what I have and I am ready for more, your energy shifts from need to abundance, and abundance always attracts abundance. Reprogramming your mind also means studying success. Read books. Listen to people who've created wealth and learn how they think. The 1% didn't get rich by accident. They developed habits and mindsets that supported their growth. They treat money like a living thing that needs direction. They tell it where to go, into investments, into learning, into building. Every decision they make has intention behind it. If you can start living with that same intention, you'll see results faster than you can imagine. When you start to view money as energy, you stop asking, how can I get more? And start asking, how can I become more valuable? That's the real key. The more value you bring to the world, the more energy, the more money flows back to you. So improve your skills, strengthen your mindset, learn to lead, communicate, and serve. When your value increases, your income naturally follows. You don't have to force it. There's something powerful about understanding that money is not against you. It's not trying to hide from you. It's simply responding to the person you become. So if you want more money, work on becoming more focused, more skilled, more disciplined, and more generous. That's how energy flows. The 1% think about growth, while most people think about lack. That's the difference between running out of money and having it work for you. When you reprogram your mind, you also stop comparing yourself to others. You realize that your financial journey is unique. What matters is not how fast you get there, but how well you grow through it. Each lesson about money, whether it's earning, losing, saving, or investing, is shaping the person you're becoming. If you can learn from every experience instead of reacting to it, you'll keep your energy moving in the right direction. Money is not about luck. It's about preparation meeting opportunity, and your preparation begins in your mind. If you train your mind to see money as energy, you'll treat it differently. You'll respect it, manage it, and multiply it. You'll no longer be scared of it. You'll start using it to create experiences, freedom, and impact. That's when you'll know you've joined the 1%, not because of what's in your bank account, but because of how you think every single day. So reprogram your mind. Replace fear with awareness. Replace lack with gratitude. Replace hurry with patience. Start to see money as a living current that follows your focus, your discipline, and your growth. When you become the kind of person who manages energy wisely, money naturally finds its way to you and stays there. That's the real money game of the 1%. It starts in your mind, grows through your habits, and shows up in your life as freedom, peace, and confidence. Chapter 2. Build daily habits that attract financial growth. Every lasting change begins with a small habit, and wealth is no different. Financial growth isn't built overnight. It's built daily through choices that seem small in the moment, but shape your entire future. The people who make money work for them don't depend on motivation. They depend on structure. They build habits that keep their energy focused, their priorities clear, and their progress consistent. They don't rely on luck or waiting for the right opportunity. They become the kind of people who attract opportunity through what they do every day. Habits are the quiet architects of success. They decide where your time, energy, and money go long before you make any conscious decision. Think about it. Every dollar you spend, every hour you waste, and every choice you repeat is forming a pattern. If that pattern serves your growth, you'll rise. If it drains you, you'll struggle. The goal isn't to work harder, it's to work smarter by designing habits that naturally lead to wealth instead of stress. Financial growth begins when your daily routine starts reflecting your goals. That means you wake up with purpose, you track what matters, and you spend intentionally. Every day becomes a step toward financial freedom instead of just another cycle of effort and exhaustion. It's not about big leaps. It's about consistent progress. The person who saves $10 every day will have more control in 5 years than the person who makes big plans but never takes action. To build habits that attract financial growth, the first step is clarity. You can't improve what you don't understand. Most people have no idea where their money goes each month, and that's why it disappears so quickly. When you track your spending, not as punishment but as awareness, you start taking control of your story. You notice patterns, how much goes to comfort, how much to progress, and how much to waste. That awareness alone begins to shift your relationship with money. You start realizing that growth isn't about having more, it's about doing more with what you already have. The next step is creating structure. Habits thrive in structure. Have a set time each week to review your finances. Treat it like an appointment with your future self. During that time, reflect on what worked, what didn't, and what can be improved. This isn't about guilt, it's about responsibility. The 1% review their progress regularly. They don't wait for a crisis to take charge. They prevent one by staying organized. When you bring order to your finances, you invite more stability into your life. One of the most powerful habits you can develop is automatic saving. It's simple but life-changing. Every time you earn, set aside a portion automatically before you even see it. When you make saving a habit, you remove emotion from the equation. You don't need to think about whether to save. You just do. This one habit builds confidence, security, and discipline. It tells your mind, I am in control. That sense of control attracts more financial strength because confidence and clarity always lead to better decisions. Another essential habit is learning every day. Financial growth is not just about managing money, it's about expanding your mind. Read one page of a good book on wealth, watch one video that teaches you about investing or personal growth. Listen to people who've built what you want to build. You don't need to spend hours on it, you just need consistency. Learning is like interest. The more you compound it, the more valuable it becomes. Each day you learn something new, your financial awareness grows, and opportunities start appearing that once went unnoticed. Surrounding yourself with positive influences is another daily habit that changes everything. The people you talk to every day shape your beliefs about what's possible. If you're surrounded by those who complain about money or blame others for their situation, that energy will influence you. But if you spend time around people who talk about growth, investment, creation, and discipline, your mindset expands. You begin to think bigger. Your standards rise. The more your environment reflects success, the more success you attract naturally. Your daily routine must also include gratitude. It may sound simple, but it's deeply psychological. Gratitude shifts your focus from what's missing to what's growing. When you appreciate what you have, you make room for more. Every morning or night, take a few minutes to acknowledge what's working, your progress, your lessons, your opportunities. This habit trains your mind to see abundance instead of scarcity, and that's the foundation of all wealth creation. Building financial habits also means managing your impulses. Every time you feel the urge to spend out of emotion, whether it's boredom, stress, or social pressure, pause and breathe. Ask yourself, is this helping my future or just filling a moment? That question interrupts automatic behavior and brings awareness back. Over time, this small act of control turns into strength. You become the kind of person who acts out of intention, not reaction. And that single trait, emotional discipline, is what separates those who grow wealth from those who lose it. One often overlooked habit of the wealthy is reflection. At the end of each day, they reflect on how they used their time and resources. They ask, did I create value today? Did I grow? Did I manage my money well? These small check-ins reinforce accountability. You can do the same. Before bed, write down one thing you did that moved you closer to financial growth. Even if it's small, reading a few pages, saving a small amount, avoiding unnecessary spending, acknowledge it. This repetition tells your subconscious that you're becoming someone who grows daily. A powerful mindset habit is affirming your identity. Say to yourself, I am a person who grows financially every day. Identity creates consistency. When you see yourself as disciplined, you act in ways that align with discipline. When you believe you're capable, you start taking confident action. Every result in life is a reflection of who you believe you are. So build the identity of a person who manages money well, makes wise decisions, and attracts opportunity through action. Another key to building financial habits is eliminating friction. Make good habits easy and bad habits hard. If you want to save more, automate it. If you want to spend less, unsubscribe from tempting ads. If you want to learn daily, keep your favorite book or audio ready to start. Remove the barriers between you and your growth. When you make success easy, consistency becomes natural. Many people underestimate the habit of patience. Financial growth doesn't come in a straight line. There will be moments of doubt, slow progress, and setbacks. But the habit of staying consistent, even when it's not exciting, is what builds real wealth. The wealthy understand that consistency outlasts intensity. They don't need quick wins. They build steady progress. Each day, you repeat small actions until they become part of who you are. Another daily habit is generosity, not in grand gestures, but in mindset. Give value wherever you can. Help someone, share knowledge, support others. When you give with a sincere heart, you expand your energy. And when your energy expands, opportunities come back in unexpected ways. Generosity keeps your relationship with money healthy. It reminds you that money is not just for keeping, it's for creating, helping, and growing. Building daily habits that attract financial growth is about mastering consistency, clarity, and control. It's not about being perfect, it's about being committed. You will make mistakes, you will slip. But every time you return to your habits, you strengthen them. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you grow in self-respect. And self-respect is the soil where wealth grows. Financial success isn't built in one big moment. It's built in thousands of quiet choices. Waking up a little earlier, tracking your spending, learning something new, saying no when you need to, and yes when it's time to invest in yourself. Each choice shapes your energy and your results. When you start living this way, money begins to flow differently. It starts respecting your effort. It starts responding to your consistency. You don't need to chase it anymore because your habits create the space for it to stay and grow. That's the money game of the 1%. They build daily rhythms that move them forward automatically. You can do the same. Start today and let your habits become the foundation of your financial freedom. Chapter 3. Train your focus to create unstoppable income. Flow focus is the quiet power behind every person who builds lasting wealth. It's not luck, not talent, not even hard work alone. It's the ability to direct your attention toward what truly matters and keep it there long enough to create results. When your focus is scattered, your effort is wasted. When your focus is sharp, every action produces a return. Financial success is never about doing 1,000 things once. It's about doing a few things with full attention until they produce unstoppable results. The reason most people struggle with money isn't that they're lazy or unlucky. It's because they live distracted. Their attention is divided between too many goals, too many desires, too many opinions. They jump from one idea to another, one job to another, one opportunity to another, hoping the next thing will change their situation. But nothing changes until focus changes. The 1% know that income follows concentration. They pick a direction, commit to it, and train their mind to stay locked in long enough to build momentum. To train your focus, you first have to understand that your mind is your greatest tool. If you can't control it, you can't control your results. Every day, countless distractions fight for your attention: social media, news, opinions, entertainment, and endless noise. If you allow your mind to drift, your energy follows. You might work all day and still feel like you achieved nothing. That's because you were busy but unfocused. Focused energy is productive, unfocused energy is exhausting. The wealthy protect their attention like a treasure. They don't say yes to everything. They don't chase every trend. They understand that every yes to distraction is a no to progress. You can't multiply your income if your mind is scattered across 10 different directions. The moment you choose a goal and give it your full focus, your brain starts filtering information to help you reach it. That's how clarity creates opportunity. You begin to see connections that were invisible before. Focus starts with intention. Before the day begins, decide what matters most. Don't let your environment decide for you. If your first action every morning is to check your phone, you're training your mind to be reactive instead of proactive. Start your day by asking, what one thing will move me closer to financial growth today? When you begin with clarity, you set a direction for your mind to follow. That single question can turn an ordinary day into a productive one. Training focus also means mastering the habit of single tasking. Most people pride themselves on multitasking, but multitasking weakens focus. Every time you switch tasks, your brain loses energy reorienting itself. The 1% work differently. They focus deeply on one task at a time. They pour all their attention into it, finish it, and then move to the next. This kind of focus compounds over time. It turns small daily actions into massive progress. One of the best ways to strengthen focus is by practicing control over your environment. Create a space that supports productivity. Keep your workspace clean, your phone out of reach, and your surroundings calm. Chaos outside creates chaos inside. When your environment is organized, your thoughts become clear. And when your thoughts are clear, your work becomes powerful. Focus is also about protecting your mental energy. Every distraction drains your capacity to think clearly. Learn to say no to unnecessary commitments. Not every opportunity deserves your time. Choose the few things that truly move you forward: your skills, your business, your financial education, and cut out what doesn't align. The more selective you are with your energy, the faster your income grows. The wealthy aren't busier, they're more focused. To build unstoppable income, you must train your mind to see opportunities where others see obstacles. That requires consistent focus on growth, not on fear. When you focus on fear, you freeze. When you focus on progress, you create movement. Every successful entrepreneur, investor, or professional started with one clear focus: to create value. They poured their attention into solving one problem so well that it began paying them again and again. That's how income becomes unstoppable. It's not luck. It's consistency born from focus. To sharpen your focus, limit the amount of information you consume. Most people drown in information and starve for direction. They watch countless videos, read endless advice, and end up confused. Pick one strategy that aligns with your goals and give it your attention until it starts working. If you keep switching paths, you'll always start over. Focus gives your efforts time to mature. Another essential practice is mindfulness. Learn to bring your attention back when it drifts. When you find yourself scrolling mindlessly or worrying about things beyond your control, pause and redirect. Ask yourself, is this thought helping me grow or draining me? This awareness helps you take charge of your mind instead of letting it wander. The person who controls their focus controls their future. Discipline and focus are twins. You can't have one without the other. Every time you follow through on what you said you would do, you strengthen focus. Each time you give in to distraction, you weaken it. The key is consistency. Don't wait for motivation. Build systems. Schedule your work. Block specific hours for financial tasks, studying investments, creating new income streams, improving your skills. Once it's on your schedule, treat it like a non-negotiable appointment. That's how focus turns into results. The people who create unstoppable income don't rely on bursts of energy. They rely on routines. Their focus is trained through repetition. They do what matters every day, even when it's not exciting. While others chase quick results, they're building systems that pay for years. That's the quiet secret behind wealth. It's not in the big decisions. It's in the small, consistent ones that nobody sees. Focus also requires patience. Growth takes time. You can't rush the process, but you can stay consistent through it. Impatience breaks focus because it makes you switch paths too soon. Train yourself to stay committed even when results are not visible yet. Every day you stay focused adds invisible progress that one day becomes visible success. The moment you quit, all that energy disappears. The wealthy understand this. They trust the process and give their focus time to pay off. Another way to strengthen focus is to define your why. When your purpose is clear, distractions lose their power. If your goal is to create financial freedom for your family, remind yourself of it daily. Keep that vision visible in your mind, on your wall, in your words. When your why is strong, your focus becomes unshakable. You no longer need to force discipline. It comes naturally because your purpose drives you. Focus grows stronger when supported by rest. A tired mind can't concentrate. Sleep, exercise, and silence are part of financial growth. They recharge your brain, giving you clarity and creativity. Don't glorify exhaustion. Rest is not laziness, it's preparation. When you rest well, you think better, decide better, and perform better. To create unstoppable income flow, you must also focus on building systems that multiply your effort. That means creating value once and letting it pay you repeatedly. Whether it's a product, a business, a skill, or an investment, choose something that rewards consistency. Put your energy into creating assets instead of only trading hours for money. When your focus is on building, not just earning, your income starts working even when you're not. Another key aspect of focus is emotional control. Money decisions are often emotional. Fear, greed, doubt, or excitement can cloud judgment. The 1% learn to stay centered. They don't let emotions distract them from logic. When markets drop, they stay calm. When opportunities rise, they think clearly. This kind of focus keeps wealth stable. You can train the same by pausing before every major decision and asking, is this driven by emotion or by reason? That single question protects your progress. You also strengthen focus by finishing what you start. Most people begin with energy but stop halfway when challenges appear. Completion builds confidence, and confidence amplifies focus. When you finish tasks, you teach your brain that you follow through. That habit builds momentum. Every time you complete something meaningful, you gain mental strength to handle bigger goals. Income follows focus because money flows where energy is directed. When you give your full attention to creating value, improving your skills, and serving others, money naturally follows. You don't have to chase it. It's drawn to your consistency. But that requires a kind of focus most people never develop. The focus that stays strong when results are slow, when distractions are loud, and when others quit. The real measure of focus is not how hard you can work when inspired, but how well you stay consistent when nobody's watching. That's what creates unstoppable income flow. When you discipline your attention, you multiply your power every day. You train your mind to serve your goals instead of your impulses. And when your focus becomes unshakable, your results become inevitable. Train your focus until it becomes your natural state. Let your attention serve your dreams, not your distractions. The moment you master your focus, you stop living reactively and start living intentionally. You become the kind of person who doesn't wait for money. You build it. And when you can do that, income doesn't just come and go. It flows endlessly, powered by the strength of your focus and the clarity of your vision. Chapter 4. Replace fear of loss with power to invest. Fear is one of the greatest barriers between people and wealth. It's not the economy. It's not competition. It's not lack of opportunity. It's fear. Fear of losing. Fear of failing. Fear of not being enough. This fear keeps many people from taking the steps that could completely change their lives. The truth is, the people who rise to financial independence feel fear just like everyone else. But they've learned how to replace that fear with power. They've learned that fear is a signal, not a stop sign. It's an invitation to grow, to think clearly, and to act with purpose. Most people approach money with a defensive mindset. They think about protecting, saving, and holding on. While it's important to be careful, being overly cautious limits growth. When your energy is stuck in protection, you never experience expansion. You can't build wealth by holding your breath. You build it by learning how to breathe through uncertainty. The wealthy don't run from risk. They manage it, they respect it, study it, and use it to their advantage. They understand that every meaningful gain in life involves some level of uncertainty. Fear of loss is emotional, not logical. It comes from past experiences, cultural messages, and self-doubt. Maybe you've lost before. Maybe you've seen others lose. Or maybe you've been told all your life to play it safe. But playing safe keeps you small. You can't win a game you never play. The 1% operate differently because they don't see loss as failure. They see it as feedback. Every mistake teaches them something valuable. They use that knowledge to make better decisions next time. To replace fear of loss with power to invest, you must start by changing the story you tell yourself about risk. Risk isn't danger, it's possibility. Every great achievement was once uncertain. Investing your time, money, or energy is not about gambling. It's about trusting your preparation. When you build knowledge, discipline, and clarity, your confidence grows. And when confidence grows, fear begins to fade. You stop asking, "What if I lose?" and start asking, "What if I win?" That single change in mindset shifts your entire financial direction. The first step in overcoming fear is education. Fear thrives in ignorance. When you don't understand something, your mind fills in the gaps with worry. The moment you start learning, fear loses its power. Study the areas you want to invest in. Learn about business, real estate, stocks, or any field that aligns with your goal. The more you learn, the more your fear turns into understanding. You stop guessing and you start making informed decisions. That's how you replace hesitation with strength. Confidence doesn't come from being fearless. It comes from being prepared. The 1% study opportunities before they take them. They build strategies, set limits, and make sure they can handle the outcomes. They don't avoid losses. They minimize them through planning. You can do the same. Before any investment, ask yourself, what's the worst that can happen, and can I recover from it? If the answer is yes, the fear becomes manageable. If you can face the worst-case scenario and still move forward, you've taken your power back. Fear of loss often comes from attaching your identity to outcomes. When people lose money, they feel like they've lost part of themselves. But money is a tool, not your worth. The 1% know this. They don't let temporary setbacks define them. They separate who they are from what they own. When you stop measuring your value by your possessions, you become unstoppable. You can take calculated risks because you're no longer protecting your ego, you're building your life. One of the strongest ways to overcome fear is through small action. Start by taking small, low-risk investments that build confidence. When you see even small results, your belief grows. Each successful step replaces fear with proof. Over time, your mind learns that progress doesn't come from avoidance, it comes from participation. The same principle applies beyond money. Every time you face a fear and act anyway, you weaken the hold fear has over you. Emotion plays a powerful role in investing. When fear takes over, logic disappears. You start making decisions out of panic, not reason. To gain power over fear, you must manage your emotions. That means slowing down your reactions. When markets drop, when challenges arise, when uncertainty hits, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself of your long-term vision. Emotional balance is the edge the 1% use to make wise decisions while everyone else reacts. Investing is not just about money, it's about mindset. When you invest, you're declaring belief in growth. You're saying, "I trust myself to make things better." That belief changes how you see the world. Suddenly, opportunities appear in places you once ignored. You start seeing possibilities everywhere because your mind is focused on expansion, not fear. The shift from fear to faith is not about ignoring risk. It's about learning how to live above it. To build power in investing, focus on principles, not predictions. You can't control the market, but you can control your habits. You can't control outcomes, but you can control preparation. The wealthy invest in what they understand and hold it long enough to let it grow. They don't chase excitement, they build stability. Fear of loss fades when your strategy is rooted in knowledge and patience. Another important part of replacing fear is learning from mentors and examples. Find people who succeeded where you want to go. Study how they think, not just what they do. When you see real people who faced risk and won, it builds trust in your own potential. Success leaves clues, and those clues help you see that failure is not the end. It's part of the path. Gratitude also weakens fear. When you're grateful for what you have, you stop making decisions from desperation. You make them from strength. Fear says, I might lose what I have. Gratitude says, I already have more than enough to start. That difference changes how you invest, how you work, and how you grow. When you operate from gratitude, your energy is calm and confident. That energy attracts better opportunities and better results. Replacing fear with power also means detaching from short-term outcomes. Most fear comes from wanting immediate results, but true investment, whether in money, business, or personal growth, takes time. Learn to think in years, not days. Wealth grows like a tree, not like a firework. The 1% understand this deeply. They're patient because they know real growth happens quietly before it becomes visible. When you stop rushing, you start trusting. That trust is power. Another key to mastering fear is embracing responsibility. When you blame the economy, your job, or circumstances, you give away control. But when you take responsibility for your choices, even your mistakes, you take back your power. You can't control what happens outside, but you can control your response. That's what separates those who succeed from those who stay stuck. Responsibility is freedom. It allows you to adapt, adjust, and advance without waiting for permission. The most powerful investors, both in money and in life, understand that growth requires discomfort. They lean into it. They use discomfort as a sign that they are expanding. Every time you step into the unknown, your capacity grows. You become stronger, wiser, and more capable. That's the reward beyond money, the person you become through the process. You also build confidence by focusing on progress, not perfection. Every investment won't be perfect. Every decision won't be right, but each experience adds to your understanding. Don't expect a smooth path. Expect lessons. Every time you learn, you reduce fear because knowledge replaces uncertainty. Eventually, you stop asking for guarantees and start trusting your ability to adapt. That's where real financial strength comes from. To replace fear with power, remind yourself of your purpose. Why are you building wealth? What kind of life do you want to create? When your vision is strong, fear weakens. You're no longer investing just for money. You're investing for freedom, impact, and security. When your goal is bigger than your fear, your courage grows naturally. At its core, investing is an act of faith in yourself and your potential. It's a decision to believe in your capacity to create value. Once you make that decision, you start living differently. You stop holding back. You stop playing small. You start making moves that align with your future instead of protecting your past. Fear will always whisper doubts, but courage speaks louder when you act. Every time you choose to invest your time, your skill, your resources, you prove that you believe in growth. That belief is magnetic. It attracts new opportunities, new people, and new levels of success. When fear turns into power, you no longer chase money. You guide it, you direct it, you grow it with purpose and clarity. Replacing fear of loss with power to invest isn't just about financial gain. It's about personal transformation. It's about becoming the kind of person who moves forward, even when the outcome isn't certain. Because the truth is, nothing great is ever certain. The only real failure is never trying. The 1% know this truth deeply. They take action, they adapt, and they keep learning. That's what builds unstoppable wealth. Not the absence of fear, but the mastery of it. When you choose to replace fear with power, you stop living by chance and start living by choice. You begin to see risk as a pathway, not a threat. You trust your preparation, your patience, and your purpose. And that's when everything changes. You stop being afraid to lose and start being ready to grow. That's the turning point. the moment you stop watching others win and start playing the game yourself. Chapter 5. Turn discipline into your strongest wealth tool. Discipline is the foundation of every form of success, and when it comes to building wealth, it is the most powerful tool you will ever have. Talent can open doors, motivation can start the journey, but only discipline keeps you moving when everything else fades. Money responds to structure, consistency, and direction, and discipline is what gives you all three. Without discipline, even the best plan will fall apart. With it, even an average plan can create extraordinary results. The wealthy understand this truth deeply. They rely on habits, not feelings. They know that success is not about being excited for a day. It's about being committed for years. The difference between those who grow rich and those who stay stuck isn't luck, it's behavior. Everyone has dreams, but few have routines that match those dreams. Discipline turns dreams into results because it gives you control over yourself. It's about doing what needs to be done, continue, even when you don't feel like it. Every time you choose structure over impulse, you strengthen your power. Every time you follow through on your promises, you earn trust with yourself. That trust becomes the foundation of your financial future. Discipline begins in the smallest decisions. It's not only about saving money or investing. It's about how you handle time, emotions, and priorities. People often think discipline means restriction. But that's not true. Discipline isn't about punishment. It's about alignment. It's about making sure your daily actions align with your long-term vision. When you're disciplined, you're not depriving yourself. You're directing yourself. You choose where your energy and money go instead of letting distractions decide for you. Building wealth requires long-term consistency. And consistency is the child of discipline. You can't build a house if you stop after laying a few bricks. And you can't build wealth if you only act when it's convenient. The 1% understand that repetition builds results. They save consistently, invest consistently, and improve consistently. They don't wait for perfect conditions. They act under imperfect ones, trusting that every step adds up. They've trained their minds to stick to systems, not emotion. Discipline protects you from the emotional traps that destroy financial growth. Impulse spending, panic selling, or giving up too soon are all emotional reactions. Discipline creates a gap between emotion and action. It gives you space to think. When the market dips, the undisciplined panic, the disciplined stay calm and analyze. When temptation comes, the undisciplined react, the disciplined pause and choose. That small gap makes the biggest difference in your outcome. To make discipline your wealth tool, you must begin by creating non-negotiable habits. For example, if you decide to save 15% of your income, it becomes law. You don't touch it, you don't question it, you just do it. Over time, it becomes automatic. That's when discipline turns into freedom because the structure you build today gives you peace tomorrow. Every rule you follow now builds a foundation strong enough to carry your future. Discipline also means controlling what you consume, both information and energy. Your mind is constantly being shaped by what you watch, read, and listen to. If you feed it distraction, you'll act in distraction. The wealthy guard their minds carefully. They spend time on knowledge that strengthens them. They study finance, growth, and human behavior. They avoid noise and focus on clarity. You can start doing the same by replacing empty entertainment with something that sharpens you. That's a form of discipline too, directing your attention instead of wasting it. One of the greatest benefits of discipline is confidence. Every time you follow through on a decision, you build self-respect. You start trusting yourself more. When you tell yourself you'll save, you save. When you say you'll work, you work. Over time, that pattern becomes your identity. You stop being someone who tries and become someone who follows through. Confidence built from discipline is stronger than confidence built from success because it's internal. Success can fade, but discipline remains. You also need discipline to manage lifestyle. The temptation to spend on things that don't matter is everywhere. Society constantly pressures you to show your worth through possessions. Discipline helps you resist that trap. It helps you live with purpose, not comparison. When you stop trying to impress others, you begin building for yourself. Every dollar you keep and invest brings you closer to independence. Discipline reminds you that your goal is not to look rich, it's to be free. Discipline thrives in structure. Create routines that support your financial growth. Have specific days for reviewing your budget, tracking expenses, and setting goals. These routines make wealth a process, not a guess. You can't improve what you don't measure. The wealthy review their numbers often because they understand that clarity brings power. You don't need to spend hours every day. Just a few minutes of focused consistency can change your financial direction forever. Another key part of discipline is patience. Building wealth takes time. There's no quick fix, no shortcut that lasts. The 1% didn't get there overnight. They stayed consistent through ups and downs. Patience allows discipline to work. It's the willingness to stay the course when results are still invisible. Most people quit because they expect immediate reward. The disciplined stay because they understand that compound growth takes time. If you can stay patient and consistent, time becomes your ally instead of your enemy. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about progress. You will make mistakes. You will have moments when you slip. The key is to correct, not quit. Every setback can either destroy your discipline or strengthen it depending on your response. When you get off track, return quickly. Forgive yourself and recommit. That's how you build endurance. The 1% aren't perfect, they're persistent. They win because they get back up faster than others give up. Your surroundings influence your discipline. If you're surrounded by people who are careless with money or time, it becomes harder to stay focused. Surround yourself with people who live with purpose. Watch how they manage their choices, how they talk about goals, how they stay consistent. Energy is contagious. The more you spend time around discipline, the easier it becomes to maintain your own. Discipline also means keeping promises even when nobody is watching. Integrity builds momentum. When you do the right thing in silence, you strengthen your inner power. Wealth built on integrity lasts longer because it's rooted in truth. The undisciplined look for shortcuts, and shortcuts eventually collapse. The disciplined take the long path, and that path always leads to stability. There's also financial discipline, how you allocate money. Create a simple rule: earn, save, invest, give. Every dollar should have a purpose. Discipline in spending means asking before every purchase, does this bring me closer to my goal? If it doesn't, you wait. That simple question builds control. When you begin directing money with purpose, you stop wondering where it goes. You become the driver, not the passenger. Another key part of discipline is self-awareness. Understand your patterns. Know what triggers impulsive behavior. If you tend to spend more when stressed, learn to manage stress differently. If you procrastinate when uncertain, break tasks into smaller steps. Discipline is not about suppressing emotion. It's about understanding and managing it. Once you know your triggers, you can design strategies to stay consistent. Discipline transforms not only your finances, but your entire identity. You begin to see yourself as capable, reliable, and in control. That feeling of control is what gives peace of mind. Money without discipline leads to chaos. Discipline without money builds character first and wealth second. When both meet, you create a life that's abundant and stable. Discipline also gives freedom. Many people think freedom comes from doing whatever they want. But true freedom comes from having structure that supports your goals. When your finances are disciplined, you sleep peacefully. You don't fear bills, you don't depend on luck, and you don't need to impress anyone. Freedom comes from order. It comes from knowing that your choices today are creating peace for tomorrow. It's important to remember that discipline is a skill, not a gift. You build it like a muscle. It grows with use and weakens with neglect. Every day is a chance to strengthen it. Start small. Commit to one habit that supports your financial goals. It could be saving a small amount, reviewing your budget weekly, or avoiding impulse buys. Once you master one habit, add another. Slowly, you'll become someone whose entire lifestyle reflects discipline. At the heart of wealth, discipline is what separates dreamers from doers. It gives you the ability to stay steady when emotions rise, to stay patient when results are slow, and to stay committed when distractions tempt you. The 1% don't have superhuman strength, they have self-control. They understand that discipline is not a burden. It's a bridge between who you are and who you can become. When you turn discipline into your strongest tool, you stop being driven by circumstances and start being guided by purpose. You take command of your habits, your finances, and your time. You stop hoping for change and start creating it one consistent decision at a time. And as the years pass, that consistency compounds into wealth, stability, and freedom. Discipline might not feel exciting, but it is the quiet force that builds empires one day at a time. Chapter 6. Master Emotional Control. Before managing any money. Before anyone can master money, they must first master themselves. Emotional control is the foundation of every smart financial decision. Without it, even the best strategies fall apart. You can have a great income, good investments, and endless opportunities. But if your emotions are out of balance, your financial life will always feel unstable. Money responds not only to intelligence, but to emotional maturity. The way you handle pressure, excitement, fear, and uncertainty determines how long you keep what you earn. Most people don't lose money because they lack information. They lose it because they can't control their reactions. Fear makes them freeze. Greed makes them chase. Impatience makes them quit. And pride makes them ignore good advice. Emotional discipline is what separates a decision made with confidence from one made in panic. The 1% understand this. They know that wealth is not built through emotion, it's built through calm thinking and steady behavior. Emotional control begins with awareness. You have to know what drives your decisions. When you make a purchase, are you doing it because you need it or because it makes you feel better for a moment? When you invest, are you doing it because it's a smart long-term choice or because you're afraid of missing out? Emotional management isn't about suppressing feelings, it's about understanding them. When you recognize the emotion behind the action, you take back your power to choose. Money has a way of amplifying emotions. If you're anxious, money will make you more anxious. If you're confident, it will magnify that confidence. That's why mastering your emotional state comes before managing your finances. When your mind is calm, your decisions are clear. When your emotions are steady, your judgment improves. A calm person can see opportunities others miss because their thinking isn't clouded by fear or excitement. The first step to emotional control is detaching your self-worth from your net worth. Many people tie their identity to how much money they have or don't have. This creates constant stress. When they have more, they feel powerful. When they have less, they feel weak. But money doesn't define who you are. It only reflects how you manage your life. When you understand this, you stop chasing money to prove something. You start using it as a tool instead of a measure of value. Another essential part of emotional control is learning how to respond instead of react. Reactions are automatic. Responses are intentional. A reaction comes from emotion. A response comes from awareness. When something goes wrong, an investment drops, an unexpected expense appears, or income slows down, pause before acting. Take a breath. Ask yourself, what's the best long-term move here? That pause changes everything. It gives your rational mind time to step in before emotion takes over. Emotions can be your ally if you learn to manage them. For example, fear can protect you from recklessness. Excitement can push you toward action. But when emotions lead without reason, they create chaos. Financially successful people use emotion as information, not instruction. They let it alert them, but not control them. They know when to listen to their intuition and when to double-check with logic. That balance creates stability. Patience is one of the strongest signs of emotional maturity. Most people lose money because they want quick results. They chase fast gains, impulsive deals, or short-term wins. But real wealth takes time. The ability to wait calmly while your efforts compound is what separates steady builders from emotional spenders. When you master patience, you stop being desperate. You make decisions based on purpose, not pressure. Another part of emotional control is handling comparison. The world constantly shows you what others have: new cars, bigger homes, flashier lifestyles. It's easy to feel like you're behind, but comparison destroys focus. You can't grow if you're busy measuring your progress against someone else's timeline. Emotional control means staying grounded in your own path. Your journey is unique. The only person you need to compete with is the one you were yesterday. Managing emotions also means staying humble when things go well. Many people lose control when they start making more money. They spend to prove success, forgetting that pride is as dangerous as fear. Humility keeps you stable. It reminds you that wealth requires management, not display. The more disciplined you become emotionally, the less you need to show off. You begin to find satisfaction in progress, not attention. Stress is another emotion that affects financial choices. When you're overwhelmed, you can't think clearly. You rush decisions or avoid them altogether. The key is learning how to calm your mind before you act. Whether through exercise, meditation, journaling, or silence, find a routine that brings peace. A calm state produces wise decisions. Emotional chaos creates costly mistakes. Anger can also influence how people handle money. Some use spending as a way to express frustration. Others make impulsive financial moves out of rebellion or pride. Emotional control requires recognizing those triggers. When you notice anger rising, pause before you react. Ask yourself if the action you're about to take will help or harm your future. Mastery is not about avoiding emotion, it's about managing it wisely. Financial stability isn't just about numbers, it's about energy. The way you feel affects how money flows in your life. When you're anxious, you close yourself off from opportunities. When you're calm and confident, you attract ideas, people, and chances that align with your growth. Emotional stability builds financial magnetism because people trust and follow calm energy. No one wants to do business with someone who is unpredictable or reactive. Emotional control also helps you handle setbacks. Losses will happen. Mistakes will happen. That's part of the process. The difference between those who recover and those who collapse is how they handle the emotion that follows. Instead of dwelling on disappointment, learn from it. Reflect, adjust, and move forward. Every setback has a lesson. If you're willing to stay calm enough to see it, a strong emotional foundation makes you consistent. You no longer depend on motivation because your mood doesn't dictate your action. You save when it's easy and when it's hard. You invest when you're excited and when you're nervous. You follow your plan regardless of how you feel that day. That consistency creates momentum, and momentum builds results. Emotional control creates the discipline that sustains success. Learning to manage emotions is a lifelong skill. It's not something you master once. It's something you practice daily. You'll have moments when you slip, when impatience wins, when frustration speaks louder than reason. The key is to catch yourself faster each time. Awareness shortens recovery. Eventually, you'll reach a point where emotions no longer control your financial behavior. They inform it. Building emotional control also requires understanding your money story. Every person has one shaped by childhood, culture, and past experiences. Maybe you were taught that money is scarce or that spending equals happiness. Those beliefs influence your emotions even now. Take time to explore your story. Question it, rewrite it if necessary. You can't change what you don't understand. Awareness breaks emotional patterns that keep you stuck. Another aspect of emotional mastery is gratitude. When you're grateful, fear and greed lose power. Gratitude reminds you that you already have enough to start. It creates calm, which leads to better decisions. Every time you feel overwhelmed, shift your focus to what's going right. Gratitude grounds you. It helps you move from reaction to reflection. Surrounding yourself with emotionally stable people strengthens your control. The company you keep shapes your responses. When you're around people who panic easily or spend recklessly, it becomes harder to stay calm. But when your circle values patience, reason, and growth, that energy rubs off on you. Emotional strength grows faster in the right environment. It's also important to remember that emotional control doesn't mean being emotionless. It means being emotionally intelligent, understanding your feelings, managing them, and using them wisely. You can feel fear and still move forward. You can feel excitement and still wait for the right moment. Emotional mastery is not coldness, it's clarity. It's being fully aware of your emotions without being ruled by them. Financial education without emotional education leads to chaos. You could learn every strategy, follow every system, and still fail if you let emotions make your decisions. The 1% succeed because they pair knowledge with control. They treat emotional mastery as part of their financial training. They study their reactions the same way they study markets. That's what allows them to stay calm during chaos and steady during uncertainty. Before managing money, manage yourself. Learn how to calm your mind when pressure builds. Learn how to delay gratification when temptation arises. Learn how to think clearly when everyone else is reacting. Those skills create a foundation no loss can break. When you can manage emotion, you can manage opportunity. Mastering emotional control is not just a financial skill, it's a life skill. It helps you communicate better, work better, and live with peace. It gives you confidence that no matter what happens, you can stay centered. That kind of stability attracts success because it shows the world you're ready to handle it. When you reach the point where emotion no longer drives your financial behavior, you gain true power. You no longer chase every opportunity or panic at every challenge. You move with calm strength and deliberate action. That's when money starts working for you instead of against you. Emotional control is the invisible foundation beneath every lasting fortune. Without it, success fades. With it, you build wealth that endures, steady, peaceful, and unshakable. Chapter 7. Create identity that matches the life you desire. Every lasting transformation begins when you decide who you truly are. Wealth, success, confidence, and growth all start in identity. You cannot live a life that does not match the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as limited, your actions will always reflect limitation. If you see yourself as capable, resourceful, and worthy, your behavior will rise to meet that vision. The life you desire will never appear until your identity aligns with it. You attract not what you want, but who you believe you are. Most people try to change their life by changing their actions. They work harder, chase new opportunities, and push themselves endlessly. But without a shift in identity, all effort eventually collapses. You can only act against your beliefs for so long before your mind pulls you back to what feels familiar. If you believe deep down that you're meant for struggle, you'll sabotage success the moment it comes. If you believe wealth belongs to others, you'll never hold it for long. Real growth starts when you rewrite the story of who you are. Your identity is shaped by repetition. The things you tell yourself daily become your truth. If you repeat thoughts like, "I'm not good with money, I always mess up," or "I'll never get ahead," those ideas become part of your self-image. Your mind works to prove them true because identity seeks consistency. The 1% understand this deeply. They protect their self-talk as carefully as they protect their investments. They feed their mind words that match the life they're building, not the one they're leaving behind. Creating an identity that matches the life you desire means you must stop living from memory and start living from vision. Memory keeps you tied to the past. Vision pulls you toward the future. Every time you focus on who you've been, you repeat that version of yourself. Every time you focus on who you're becoming, you begin to act like that person now. The moment you start showing up as your future self, life begins to adjust around you. The first step is clarity. You must know who you want to become. Not vaguely, but in detail. What does that person believe about money? How do they manage their time? How do they think under pressure? What habits do they follow? Once you know that, you can begin living by that standard today. Identity is built through alignment, doing what your ideal self would do before the world confirms you've become it. That's how transformation happens. You can't become wealthy if your identity is still tied to survival. Many people live with a just getting by mentality. They work hard but carry deep beliefs that life will always be a struggle. That mindset becomes a wall. To build wealth, your mind must first accept abundance as normal. You must begin to believe that financial growth, peace, and freedom are your natural state, not something rare or unreachable. The more you normalize success in your mind, the faster it manifests in reality. Identity is strengthened by environment. The people around you either reinforce your old story or support your new one. If you spend time with people who complain, fear change, or live without goals, your identity will match theirs. But if you surround yourself with people who talk about vision, growth, and self-respect, you'll start seeing yourself differently. You can't rise higher than the environment you allow. Your surroundings are shaping your self-image every day. Every time you make a choice that matches your future identity, you rewrite your subconscious programming. It doesn't have to be a huge action. Small, consistent decisions are what build belief. When you save instead of spending impulsively, you tell yourself, I'm disciplined. When you wake up early to study or plan, you tell yourself, I'm responsible. Each action is a vote for the person you're becoming. Over time, these small votes compound into certainty. Changing your identity also means letting go of the labels others have placed on you. Maybe you were told you're irresponsible, lazy, or not smart enough. Those words can linger in the mind for years, shaping your confidence. But those opinions were never your truth. They were someone else's limitation. You have the power to choose new words to define yourself. You can say, I am capable, I am improving, I'm building strength. Every time you declare this and follow it with action, you break free from old programming. Identity thrives on evidence. If you want to believe you're financially smart, start making decisions that prove it. If you want to see yourself as a creator, start creating something each day. Don't wait until you feel ready. Act first. The feeling comes after. The mind believes what it sees repeatedly. Show it proof through your daily behavior. You don't need perfection, you need consistency. The 1% don't act because they feel certain. They act until certainty appears. Emotional alignment is a part of identity as well. If you want to live a calm, abundant life, you must stop feeding emotions that belong to scarcity. Stress, doubt, and jealousy drain your energy. Replace them with gratitude, patience, and confidence. Emotions shape your energy, and your energy shapes your identity. The more you practice emotional balance, the stronger your sense of self becomes. To create a new identity, you also need to change your self-image in small but powerful ways. Dress in a way that reflects confidence. Speak with certainty. Organize your surroundings to match your future. These physical adjustments signal to your brain that change is happening. When your external world reflects your internal goals, the transformation accelerates. You begin to feel like the person you're becoming, and your actions naturally align. A common mistake people make is trying to change results without changing self-concept. They start a business, a new habit, or a financial plan, but deep down, they still see themselves as the same person. That inner conflict always pulls them back. You can't outperform your self-image for long. True transformation begins when your mind fully accepts that you are capable of more. Once that belief locks in, your external world begins to follow your internal certainty. One of the most powerful questions you can ask yourself each morning is, who am I choosing to be today? Not what will I do, but who will I be? Because actions come naturally from identity. If you see yourself as someone who takes control, you'll naturally act in control. If you see yourself as someone who grows wealth, you'll notice opportunities to grow it. Life becomes a reflection of the identity you hold most strongly. Identity change also requires courage. The old version of you will resist. Your mind will try to pull you back into comfort, because comfort feels safe. But comfort is not where growth happens. You must be willing to outgrow familiar patterns. You must be willing to be misunderstood by people who still see the old you. Every breakthrough requires letting go of the person you no longer are. Creating a new identity is not pretending, it's preparing. It's choosing to act as if the life you desire is already yours. When you behave like that version of yourself, you send a message to your subconscious mind that this is the new standard. Over time, your reality adjusts to match it. The 1% use this principle constantly. They act in alignment with where they're going, not where they are. That's why their progress feels effortless. They've already become the person success requires. Building this identity also involves accountability. Hold yourself responsible for living in alignment with your goals. When you make a promise to yourself, keep it. When you fall short, don't make excuses. Make adjustments. Accountability builds respect, and self-respect strengthens identity. The more you live by your word, the more confident you become in who you are. Another key part of identity creation is visualization. Spend time each day picturing yourself living your desired life. See yourself managing your finances wisely, speaking with confidence, building your dreams, helping others. Feel what that version of you feels like. Visualization isn't fantasy, it's mental training. The mind doesn't know the difference between vivid imagination and reality. The more you imagine it, the more natural it becomes. To fully step into your new identity, you must also forgive your past. Every mistake, failure, or setback you've had was part of your growth. You can't become the person you're meant to be if you're still punishing yourself for who you were. Forgiveness clears emotional space for transformation. It tells your mind, I'm ready to move forward. When guilt and regret leave, focus and clarity enter. Creating an identity that matches the life you desire is a daily process. It's not about sudden transformation, but gradual alignment. Each day, ask yourself if your thoughts, actions, and habits reflect your desired self. If not, make small adjustments. Over time, those adjustments compound into change that lasts. Identity doesn't shift in one big moment, it evolves quietly through daily repetition. When your identity matches your goals, everything starts to flow. You stop forcing progress because your behavior naturally aligns with success. Money, health, and relationships begin improving as reflections of your internal growth. The struggle fades because you're no longer fighting yourself. You've become the kind of person who naturally attracts the life you want. The life you desire isn't waiting somewhere outside. It's waiting inside in the version of you that's ready to rise. The more you live from that identity, the faster your external world transforms. The 1% aren't born different. They build themselves daily through belief, alignment, and discipline. The same is possible for you. Choose your identity with intention, live it fully, and let your life rise to meet it. That's the true starting point of lasting success, the day you stop chasing change and start becoming it. Chapter 8. Learn patience and let time multiply your wealth. Patience is one of the rarest skills in today's world. Yet, it is the foundation of every lasting form of wealth. Most people want results now. They want quick money, instant growth, and immediate success. But wealth doesn't work that way. True growth happens quietly over time, and only those who understand patience ever experience it fully. Time can be your greatest enemy or your greatest ally, depending on how you use it. The 1% know this truth better than anyone. They let time work for them, not against them. They understand that the seed of wealth must be planted, protected, and allowed to grow before it ever bears fruit. The problem is that most people live in a culture of speed. They want to see progress fast, and when they don't, they give up. They switch strategies, chase new ideas, or lose focus. That constant restarting keeps them stuck in the beginning phase forever. The truth is, the game of wealth is won by those who can wait, the ones who stay consistent long after the excitement fades, the ones who keep showing up when there's no applause, no quick reward, just steady progress. That's where wealth begins, through time, repetition, and patience. Patience doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing the right things long enough to see results. It's about understanding that growth has a natural rhythm. You can't rush it. You can prepare the soil, plant the seeds, and water them daily, but the harvest will come in its own season. The same applies to money. You can learn, invest, and build habits, but the outcome unfolds with time. Impatience destroys what consistency could have created. One of the main reasons people struggle financially is because they try to skip the process. They want shortcuts, hacks, and instant returns. They chase the illusion of overnight success without realizing that patience is what multiplies results. The most powerful force in building wealth isn't luck, it's compounding. Compounding only works for those who stay consistent long enough to let it do its job. Every dollar saved, every investment made, every good habit practiced gains strength over time. But time only rewards the patient. The wealthy see time as leverage. They understand that every minute can either be used to grow their wealth or weaken it. Instead of trying to rush outcomes, they focus on staying consistent with their system. They know that slow growth built on solid habits is stronger than fast growth built on unstable choices. They think in decades, not days. While others are chasing trends, they're building legacies. Patience also builds character. It teaches you emotional control, discipline, and trust. When you can wait without losing focus, you've reached a level of maturity that few ever achieve. The person who learns patience no longer panics during setbacks. They know progress is still happening even when it's invisible. Patience keeps your energy grounded. It stops you from making impulsive decisions that could undo years of effort. The most successful investors understand this principle deeply. They don't get excited when markets rise and they don't panic when they fall. They know time smooths out the noise. They stay focused on the long-term trend, not short-term fluctuations. The same principle applies to every area of life. Whether you're building a business, saving money, or developing a skill, the secret is consistency over time. Patience transforms small efforts into big results. Impatience, on the other hand, is expensive. It makes you sell too soon, quit too early, or spend too quickly. It pushes you to act from emotion instead of logic. Many people have lost opportunities not because they lacked knowledge, but because they couldn't wait. They abandoned their progress right before it started paying off. If they had stayed a little longer, trusted a little more, and kept moving, their entire story would have been different. Learning patience begins with changing how you see time. Most people view time as something they're losing, but the wealthy see it as something they're investing. Every day spent learning, working, or building is compounding your value. Even when results aren't visible, the foundation is growing stronger. The key is to stay faithful to your process. Success is not about how fast you can go. It's about how long you can stay consistent. To master patience, you must also master perspective. It's easy to feel discouraged when progress seems slow, but that's because most growth happens beneath the surface. When you start a new habit, it doesn't show results immediately. When you start saving or investing, it looks small at first, but time multiplies everything. What begins as small effort grows into something powerful if you keep nurturing. The people who understand this never underestimate small beginnings. They know that every great result once looked insignificant. Patience also helps you avoid unnecessary stress. When you stop rushing, life feels lighter. You stop comparing yourself to others and start focusing on your own path. You realize that everything meaningful takes time. Whether it's wealth, relationships, or mastery, the world rewards those who can remain calm in the waiting. The impatient always look for excitement while the patient look for progress. Excitement fades, progress endures. Time has a way of rewarding those who respect it. The longer you stay committed, the more opportunities come your way. People trust consistency. They notice when you show up day after day. That reputation compounds too. It builds credibility, connections, and confidence. Patience not only multiplies wealth, but also multiplies influence. Learning patience also requires faith. Faith in the process, in yourself, and in the principles of growth. You must trust that your efforts are leading somewhere even when results are invisible. Faith keeps you moving when logic says to quit. It gives you strength during slow seasons. The 1% operate from faith because they've learned that time will always favor those who work with it, not against it. To build patience, practice slowing down your reactions. When things take longer than expected, pause before frustration takes over. Remind yourself that delay is not denial, it's development. Every delay strengthens your foundation. If you stay focused, every challenge teaches endurance. The more you practice patience in small areas, the easier it becomes to apply it in bigger financial decisions. Patience also means learning to enjoy the process, not just the result. If you only find joy in the outcome, you'll spend most of your life frustrated. The wealthy find satisfaction in growth itself. They enjoy the learning, the planning, the daily effort. When you find joy in the process, you no longer depend on fast results for motivation. You become steady, and that steadiness is what builds wealth. To truly let time multiply your wealth, you must also protect your focus. Distractions steal patience. Every time you compare your journey to someone else's, you lose faith in your timing. Every time you chase new trends, you interrupt the compounding of your efforts. Stay loyal to your path. What's meant to grow in your life will grow at the right pace. Time doesn't fail those who remain steady. Another powerful aspect of patience is delayed gratification. The ability to wait for greater rewards instead of settling for small pleasures defines long-term success. Each time you resist an unnecessary expense, you strengthen your future. Each time you choose to invest instead of spend, you multiply your options later. Patience turns sacrifice into strategy. It transforms waiting into winning. Learning patience also changes your relationship with fear. Fear makes you rush. It whispers that time is running out, that you're missing out, that you need to act now. But the patient mind knows better. It recognizes that opportunity is endless for those who prepare. Time is not your enemy, it's your advantage. The world rewards those who can hold their vision while others panic. Over time, patience builds wisdom. When you slow down, you see more clearly. You make better decisions because you're not reacting, you're observing. You start noticing patterns, understanding cycles, and recognizing timing. That awareness makes your choices sharper and your results stronger. Patience turns experience into insight. The greatest form of power is calm persistence. When others give up, you stay. When others rush, you wait. When others panic, you stay focused. That's the mindset that creates wealth that lasts. Quick money comes and goes, but wealth built through patience stays. It's stable, resilient, and deeply rooted. Time will always multiply what you feed it. If you feed it discipline, you get growth. If you feed it impatience, you get chaos. Your results are the sum of your consistent actions multiplied by time. The sooner you learn to trust that process, the sooner you'll find peace in your journey. Patience doesn't mean you slow down your effort. It means you speed up your maturity. It means you understand that great things take time to align. When you stay patient with yourself, with money, and with your goals, you allow success to unfold naturally. The 1% didn't win by moving fast. They won by staying long enough for their choices to mature. So learn patience. Let time be your partner. Let it refine you, strengthen you, and multiply your results quietly. Every day you stay consistent. Every decision you make with calm intention adds invisible value that time will reveal later. The impatient chase outcomes. The patient build empires. Wealth belongs to those who give it enough time to grow and to those wise enough to wait for it with confidence and faith. Chapter 9. Surround yourself with people who elevate your mindset. The people around you shape the person you become more than you realize. Your environment is constantly influencing how you think, how you act, and what you believe is possible. If retread continue, you spend enough time around those who complain, doubt, and settle, you begin to mirror their energy. You start thinking smaller, feeling less motivated, and losing sight of your potential. But when you surround yourself with people who lift you higher, who challenge your thinking, push you to grow, and live with purpose, your entire mindset begins to rise. The company you keep is the invisible hand guiding your future. No one builds success alone. Every person who reaches the top has been influenced, inspired, or supported by others who expected more from them. When you connect with people who are ahead of you in thinking and discipline, their mindset becomes contagious. You start thinking in terms of growth instead of excuses. You begin to see possibility where you once saw barriers. Energy is transferable, and the right company can completely shift your perspective on what's achievable. Many people underestimate how much their circle affects their decisions. They want to change their life, but never change their environment. They keep the same conversations, the same habits, and the same influences. You can't build a new mindset in the same environment that created your old one. Growth requires separation from what keeps you small. That doesn't mean cutting people off with arrogance. It means choosing intentionally who gets access to your attention and energy. When you start spending time with people who think big, you naturally begin to expand. They talk differently. They see problems as opportunities. They value growth over comfort. They make you reflect not out of judgment, but out of inspiration. They remind you that your dreams are possible and that your excuses are optional. That kind of environment changes how you show up in life. It pushes you beyond average thinking and challenges you to live with more purpose. To surround yourself with people who elevate your mindset, you first have to become someone who attracts them. High-minded people are drawn to growth, discipline, and positivity. They avoid negativity and excuses. So begin by embodying the qualities you want in your circle. Be reliable, curious, and humble. Bring value to others. The best way to find powerful connections is to become a person of value yourself. Like attracts like, and when you grow, your network naturally evolves with you. You can start building this environment by seeking mentors, people who've achieved what you want to achieve. Learn from their experiences, ask questions, listen deeply, and apply their lessons. A good mentor can help you skip years of mistakes and show you how to think strategically instead of emotionally. Mentorship isn't about copying someone's life. It's about learning their mindset. The 1% don't just collect money, they collect wisdom from those who've already walked the path. Also, seek peers who are growing alongside you. When you're surrounded by others who are disciplined and motivated, their energy keeps you accountable. You stop making excuses because everyone around you is taking action. Growth becomes normal instead of rare. That shared focus builds momentum. Even if you feel tired or doubtful, being around driven people reignites your determination. A supportive circle reminds you that success is a team effort even when your goals are individual. But elevating your circle also means being selective. Not everyone deserves access to your time. Some relationships are built on comfort, not progress. There are people who love you but won't understand your ambition. They'll tell you to slow down, to be realistic, to stop trying so hard. They mean well, but their advice is filtered through their own fear. You have to learn how to love people without letting their limitations define you. Distance doesn't mean disrespect. It means protection of your mindset. You can measure the quality of your environment by the conversations you have. When your circle talks about goals, ideas, and learning, you grow. When the focus is gossip, complaints, and negativity, you shrink. Pay attention to the tone of your interactions. Do you leave feeling inspired or drained? Do you feel challenged or comfortable? Growth doesn't happen in comfort. You need people who tell you the truth even when it's hard to hear. Real friends won't let you waste your potential. They'll hold you accountable to your standards. Technology also gives you access to great minds even if they're not physically around you. Books, podcasts, interviews, and online communities can become your virtual circle. You can learn from anyone if you're intentional. Listen to people who speak about discipline, wealth, mindset, and leadership. Absorb their lessons. The more you expose yourself to higher thinking, the more your own thoughts begin to elevate. You don't need everyone to understand your journey. You just need enough voices that remind you it's possible. When you surround yourself with the right people, your goals stop feeling impossible. You begin to notice that success has patterns, not secrets. You learn how high performers think about time, habits, and responsibility. You see how they stay calm during chaos and consistent during quiet seasons. Being close to that energy makes you more focused and less distracted. You begin to expect more from yourself because your environment demands it. The wrong environment, on the other hand, can slowly destroy motivation. Negativity doesn't always shout. It often whispers. It shows up as doubt disguised as concern or as small talk that drains your focus. Over time, that noise dulls your ambition. You stop dreaming big because no one around you believes big. You start thinking that staying small is safer. That's why you must protect your space like you protect your future. Who you allow in determines how far you go. Your environment also affects your emotions. When you're around people who see problems as challenges instead of disasters, you stay emotionally stable. Their calmness rubs off on you. You learn not to panic under pressure because you've seen others stay steady. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by emotional chaos, your mind becomes reactive. Emotional energy spreads, and the company you keep decides whether your energy is peaceful or restless. To truly elevate your mindset, make connection a conscious habit. Reach out to people who inspire you, even if they seem far ahead. Ask for insight, offer help, and build authentic relationships. Don't seek validation, seek learning. Relationships built on growth are mutual. Both people add value. Over time, these connections form your personal ecosystem of motivation and accountability. You also need to audit your circle regularly. People change and so do you. As you grow, not everyone will grow with you. Some relationships will fade, and that's okay. The goal isn't to hold on to everyone. It's to keep moving toward alignment. Surround yourself with those who believe in personal excellence, who celebrate your progress, and who challenge your excuses. Every strong network is built on mutual respect and shared vision. Another crucial lesson is that elevation requires contribution. Don't only look for what you can gain from others. Ask yourself what you can give. Uplift those around you. Encourage, teach, and share. When you become the kind of person who adds value, people naturally want to be around you. The most powerful circles are made of givers, not takers. Everyone contributes, everyone grows, and everyone wins. You'll also discover that the right environment increases your self-awareness. High-minded people won't let you hide behind your limitations. They'll notice when you're holding back, when you're settling, or when you're not being honest with yourself. At first, this might feel uncomfortable, but that discomfort is where growth begins. It forces you to confront habits and beliefs that no longer serve you. The more you face yourself, the more powerful you become. Surrounding yourself with people who elevate your mindset doesn't mean they must all be wealthy or famous. What matters is their thinking. Choose people who are kind, accountable, and forward-focused. People who dream, act, and improve daily. Their mindset becomes a mirror for your own. When you spend time with people who expect greatness, you start expecting it too. Growth happens through association. If you spend enough time with disciplined people, you'll become disciplined. If you spend enough time with complainers, you'll start complaining. Your energy adapts to its environment, so make it a priority to create an environment that pushes you higher. Don't settle for company that keeps you comfortable. Seek those who make you grow uncomfortable enough to change. The 1% understand that their environment is their greatest asset. They choose mentors carefully, they invest in relationships, and they build teams that share their vision. They know that being around the right people saves years of trial and error. That's how they accelerate success, through association with excellence. When you make this shift, everything in your life begins to improve. Your standards rise, your habits strengthen, and your focus sharpens. You stop wasting time on negativity and start investing energy into creation. Each conversation, each interaction, and each friendship becomes a stepping stone toward the person you're becoming. Eventually, you'll notice that your circle reflects your future. You'll find yourself surrounded by people who talk about solutions instead of problems, growth instead of gossip, and vision instead of limitation. That's when you'll know your environment has caught up with your potential. And once that happens, wealth, both financial and personal, becomes a natural outcome. Your circle is your mirror. It shows you what you believe is possible. Choose people who remind you of your strength, not your limits. Spend time with those who make you feel capable, not comfortable. The moment you decide to surround yourself with people who elevate your mindset, your entire direction in life changes. You begin to think differently, act differently, and live differently. And that's when everything you once dreamed of starts to feel like the new normal, because you've built an environment that demands growth, excellence, and abundance. Chapter 10. Use your money to build peace and freedom. Money is a powerful tool, but only when used with intention. Too many people chase money thinking it will give them happiness. But happiness is not found in more. It's found in meaning. The real purpose of wealth is not to impress others or collect possessions. It's to create peace and freedom in your life. Peace means you don't wake up anxious about bills or decisions. Freedom means you can spend your time on what truly matters, not just what keeps you afloat. When you learn to use money this way, it becomes your ally instead of your source of stress. Peace and freedom begin when you stop letting money control you and start directing it with purpose. Most people let money dictate their emotions. When they have it, they feel safe. When they don't, they feel afraid. But money is neutral. It takes the shape of how you use it. If you treat it as a servant instead of a master, it begins to work for you. The goal isn't just to make more, but to manage it in a way that supports calm, choice, and independence. Building peace with money starts with clarity. Know exactly where your money goes. Chaos with finances always leads to chaos in the mind. When you track, plan, and organize, you create order. That order creates calm. Financial peace doesn't come from how much you earn. It comes from knowing your direction. You don't need millions to feel secure. You need structure. When you know your numbers, you stop guessing. You start making choices with confidence instead of fear. Peace also grows when you live below your means. Simplicity gives space to breathe. The constant race to buy, upgrade, and compete with others drains your energy and steals your joy. Real wealth isn't loud. It's quiet, calm, and grounded. When you stop spending to prove something, you begin spending to improve something. That shift removes pressure and restores control. Living simply doesn't mean living small. It means living free from unnecessary noise. Freedom, on the other hand, is built through intention. Every dollar should have a job. When your money is directed toward things that serve your future, it starts creating opportunity instead of stress. Freedom is not about owning everything. It's about owning your time. The 1% don't use money just to buy luxury. They use it to buy choice. They design their lives so they can work when they want, travel when they want, and live on their own terms. You can do the same by building systems that give you control. One of the most powerful ways to build freedom is through financial independence. That doesn't happen overnight. It's the result of consistent investing, smart planning, and disciplined saving. Every bit of income you direct into assets instead of expenses is a step toward freedom. The goal is to build income that doesn't depend on your daily effort. When your money starts earning while you sleep, you experience a level of peace that no job alone can provide. Using money to build peace also means removing unnecessary debt. Debt creates emotional weight. It keeps you working for the past instead of building for the future. Paying off debt isn't just a financial move, it's a psychological one. Every payment made is a step toward freedom. As your obligations decrease, your energy increases. You start to feel lighter, clearer, and more focused on what matters most. Generosity is another way money creates peace. When you use your wealth to help others, you shift from fear to abundance. Giving doesn't weaken your finances, it strengthens your spirit. It reminds you that you have enough and that your success has purpose. The wealthiest people understand that contribution brings fulfillment. Money without meaning feels empty, but money with purpose feels powerful. Whether you support your family, fund a cause, or help a stranger, every act of giving creates emotional peace that money alone can't buy. Freedom also comes from aligning your spending with your values. Every purchase you make is a statement of what matters to you. If your money goes to things that bring no long-term fulfillment, it will never bring satisfaction. Spend on what adds real value: education, health, relationships, and experiences that shape you. When you spend intentionally, your money begins to reflect your priorities, not your impulses. One of the biggest barriers to peace is comparison. The moment you start comparing your lifestyle to others, you lose gratitude for what you have. Comparison creates stress because it shifts your focus from progress to competition. Peace comes when you stop trying to live someone else's story and start mastering your own. Financial freedom isn't about having more than others, it's about needing less from others. Building peace with money also means separating self-worth from net worth. Your value is not determined by your income, possessions, or status. True freedom comes when you can look at your life and feel proud of how you manage it, not just how much you own. The 1% aren't free because of their wealth. They're free because of how they think about it. They see money as a tool, not a trophy. They use it to create choices, not identities. Peace also grows when you protect your future. Set aside an emergency fund that covers several months of expenses. That small cushion brings enormous relief. It turns crises into inconveniences. You stop living in constant fear of what if, because you've already prepared for it. Planning ahead is not pessimism, it's peace of mind. The more secure you feel, the more creative and confident you become. Freedom is also about time. Many people trade every hour for income and never realize they've built a life where they can't rest. Use your money to buy back time. Outsource what drains you, automate what you can. Build systems that allow you to focus on what truly fulfills you. The ultimate goal isn't endless work. It's meaningful work that supports a balanced life. As your wealth grows, simplify your lifestyle instead of complicating it. Peace thrives in simplicity. The more complex your financial life becomes, the more stress it creates. Keep your structure lean, your expenses purposeful, and your priorities clear. Success should make life lighter, not heavier. True wealth is when your life feels full, not when your schedule feels crowded. Using money to build peace also means investing in your well-being. Spend on your health, learning, and personal development. These are investments that keep paying dividends. A strong body and mind give you energy to create more wealth. Ignoring them leads to burnout and regret. Money should make you feel alive, not exhausted. When used wisely, it becomes a source of vitality instead of pressure. Freedom grows when you make decisions based on purpose, not fear. Too many people stay trapped in jobs, relationships, or lifestyles they dislike because they fear losing financial stability. But freedom begins when you take control of your choices. When you start designing your life around peace instead of approval. Use your money to create safety, but never let safety become your cage. You must also learn when to stop chasing. There's always another level of income, another investment, another opportunity. But if you never pause to enjoy what you've built, money becomes a race with no finish line. Peace comes when you appreciate your progress and live in the present moment. Freedom isn't found in constant striving, it's found in balance. Money should support your life, not consume it. The most powerful relationship you can have with money is gratitude. Gratitude turns every dollar into a blessing. It reminds you that even small steps count. The more you appreciate what you have, the more wisely you use it. Gratitude keeps you grounded, humble, and aware of abundance already present. That awareness attracts more stability and opportunity because your energy aligns with calm instead of scarcity. Use your wealth to create memories. Experiences bring more joy than possessions. Travel, learn new skills, spend time with loved ones. These are the things that create fulfillment. When you use money to build moments, not just materials, you enrich your life in ways numbers can't measure. Peace comes from living fully, not accumulating endlessly. Financial peace also comes from alignment. When your money, goals, and values move in the same direction, if you earn money in ways that stress you, spend it on things that don't matter, or save it for reasons that don't fulfill you, you'll always feel restless. But when your actions match your purpose, money flows with ease. It becomes a reflection of balance, not burden. The 1% know that the ultimate purpose of money is choice, the ability to say no to what drains you and yes to what energizes you. They use money to create flexibility, to spend time with family, work on meaningful projects, and live without constant pressure. That's real wealth, the freedom to choose your life instead of being forced into one. As you grow financially, remember this: peace and freedom are not rewards you buy at the end. They're habits you build along the way. Every decision you make with clarity, every expense you choose intentionally, every act of generosity adds to that peace. Over time, it becomes your lifestyle. Money is not about escape, it's about empowerment. It gives you the ability to design a life filled with calm, contribution, and independence. The goal isn't to die rich, it's to live rich in peace, purpose, and freedom. When you use your money to support those values, it becomes more than currency. It becomes your partner in creating a meaningful life. And that is the true game of the 1%, not just making money work for them, but using it to build a life that feels whole, balanced, and free.